History tends to remember triumphs rather than sad conclusions. We celebrate inventions, victories, and great works, while quietly ignoring how many lives, great and small, actually ended along the way. In this episode, we'll examine one such ending, drawn not from legend or folklore, but from surviving legal records. This is a documented historical case, preserved in court accounts and chronicles, and it involves a defendant who was somewhat unconventional. What follows is the story of a medieval trial where justice was applied with complete seriousness and very little perspective. The subject of this case is the Pig of Falaise, who was tried in the year 1386 in the town of Falaise, France, which is about 116 miles directly west of Paris as the crow flies. Crows are notoriously light packers, by the way, and can fly up to 40 or 50 miles in a single day. So, a crow could leave Falaise and be in Paris in a bit more than 48 hours. The pig itself is not remembered for innovation or leadership. She was no titan of industry or grand explorer. She joined the chronicles of infamy by becoming one of the most famous defendants in medieval legal history. In the late 14th century, pigs were common fixtures of European towns. They roamed freely through streets and marketplaces, functioning as kind of a living sanitation system. This arrangement was practical, economical, and occasionally disastrous. In Falaise, the pig in question attacked and fatally injured 3-month-old Jeanne Le Macon while he was lying in a cradle. The incident shocked the town, not just because of the tragic loss of life, but because medieval law demanded accountability, regardless of whether the offender walked on 2 legs or 4. Rather than quietly destroying the animal, local authorities arrested it. The pig was placed in custody, formally charged, assigned an attorney, and brought before a secular court. Witnesses testified. Its owner testified against it. Judges deliberated. The trial followed the same legal procedures that would have been applied to a human accused of a violent crime. The pig was even dressed in human clothing for the proceedings, a symbolic gesture meant to emphasize its status as a legal actor. This was not theater. This was law, as it was understood at the time. The verdict was guilty. The sentence was death, carried out publicly by hanging, intended not only as punishment, but as reassurance to the community that justice had been served and social order restored.
That'll do, Pigly. That'll do.
Chroniclers recorded the event with no hint of irony. To them, the process was rational, necessary, and morally sound. In the aftermath, the case became something of a reference point. It illustrated the medieval belief that animals could be held legally responsible, and that courts existed to impose moral balance on all disruptions to society. However, the pig's execution did little to change the realities of medieval town life, where animals continued to roam freely for generations afterward. Today, the Pig of Falaise is remembered not for the crime itself, but for what the trial reveals about how medieval people understood law, responsibility, and justice. It is a reminder that history's logic is often internally consistent, while still being completely foreign to modern eyes. Perhaps the idea of hanging a pig is such a foreign concept to us because, in the world of today, it is so rare that pigs who harm children are actually brought to justice. Certainly, a poor pig may experience the cold embrace of the law, but a wealthy pig, on the other hand, one who rests upon a gilded toilet, is unlikely to ever be tried, let alone convicted. Hell, with enough power, one might be able to redact the entirety of the pig's crimes. Across centuries and cultures, humans have repeatedly attempted to impose legal order on a world that does not always cooperate. The trial and execution of the Pig of Falaise is not an isolated incident. Other animals have shared this bizarre fate. And as these stories show, justice, much like history itself, has never been predictable. If you'd like to hear more documented cases where events unfold in ways no one quite intended, consider staying with us. History has plenty more endings it rarely advertises.
That'll do, Piggly. That'll do.